Welcome to Tree Doctors, everybody. We're starting out at the historic Powhatan Courthouse. We're going to catch up with Ed Dickey, and he's going to give you some tips on how you can take care of your trees. It all begins right now on Tree Doctors.
You know, great strides have been made in the chemical community as the technology come available now where you don't need to clumber some capsules to tree, and we can put actually 9 or 10 different products at one time in a tree. You can see it boiling out from around the base of that as I'm injecting this into the soil ball. Amino acids, different miticides, insecticides. We can choose what we want to treat for and get a long residual from this. So you get a year's worth of good or longer out of our injection when we do a tree. An actual moat of chemicals put around your tree, and it's all moisture activated. So as the weather hits it or the rain, it supercharges it again and carries through the tree. So to get rid of your unwanted insects or to revive a tree to put new life in it, you know, that's what we do. We put the zap back in the sap. We give new life to old trees. That's what we do. We're the Tree Doctors. Dickey Tree Service in your yellow pages under trees.
It's time to go out in the field with the head tree doctor of Dickey Tree Service, Ed Dickey, right now on Tree Doctors.
I'm here in a little community called Heifer. This is right outside of Turl, outside of West Memphis a little ways, Marion. And here we got a tree from the other side. You never know this tree had a problem at all, but here several years ago, lightning hit the people's house that lived here. Mr. and Mrs. Billy Flippo is whose home this is. And they had me come in after that, and the tree had busted, and I'd put some bracing rods in it, and they had a lightning arrestor put in at that time. And the old tree, this has been better than 7 years ago that we did some work on it, and they just wanted to try to keep the tree as long as they could keep it. And you can see it's still, they spray it periodically to keep the bugs down. I treated it again for them, I think about a year ago, keep the boars from getting back in it. You can see where they was having a heyday there years ago. But you can keep a tree like this if you treat it and take care of it, because it will grow new growth that actually makes it stronger around the edge, so it's less likely to blow over. But a fire did this from a home burning, and they thought so much of the tree that they wanted to save it, and we was tickled that we helped them save it. But that's what a tree looks like, that one whole side has been burnt by a fire. I'm here at the Eaton community. This is right in between Powhatan and Lynn. And here with me is John Wells, and you got a little story to tell about these pecan trees in the background, don't you, Mr. Wells?
Well, far as I know and the way I understand it, my dad-in-law, Joe Castor, put these trees out in the late 1939 or early 40s. And they come out of Black River, down off of Black River, off of Charlie Clark place. They're just wild pecans. And my wife was 12-year-old when they was put out. And we moved here in 1951, took over the Casper farm. And we've been here ever since. And they was about the size of a slurp bucket when we moved here. And that's about the story of the pecan trees.
Yes, sir. His son Steve had me treat these trees here a few days ago, and you was telling me too, Mr. Wells, at that time, what's your age?
81.
And you lived here all your life, you say?
I'm in 25 mile distance here, except 3 years. I was in Clear Lake community from Posey over there 3 years. That's 45, 46, 47. And I've been here ever since.
John was telling me when they moved back with the wagon back then that they had that swinging bridge.
Right.
Where was that located?
At Powhatan. The swinging bridge is out there at Powhatan. You make a curve, go to your left there now, you went straight. And that was the bridge, the old swinging bridge.
So you had to get off that wagon when it went?
We went across that bridge in 1945 In the spring of 1945, we went across it with 42 head of cattle, a team of mules and a load of corn in front, and 42 head of cattle behind the wagon, a dog behind the cows, and I was on the mare behind the dog. And that bridge got shaken so I got off and walked.
I would have too, I believe.
We spent 3 years on Clear Lake over at Posey, and we came back. When we came back, we come across on the ferry at Powhatan.
Yes, sir. Well, you done farming a long time, so you actually plowed with mules under those trees.
I plowed the mules here from the time I moved here till up in the 50s, and I bought my first tractor and farmed Black River Bottoms. And a little after, about 54, I think, when I owned my first tractor. This field here, where the pecans is, we had 7 acres of cotton patch there. The whole time I farmed it. I put it back in the pasture and everything. This whole farm went back in grass as soon as I could get where I could sow it.
Yes, sir. Well, it's our theme of our show is the family tree, and these really are y'all's family trees.
That's right. That's right. My wife was born and raised out here on this farm. When we married, she was 17 and I was 19.
I'll be doggone.
I've been here ever since 51.
Well, that is great. I'm here on the grounds of the Powhatan Courthouse and checking some of the trees, and you can see behind me the pilings where the swinging bridge used to hang. That was the bridge that was used in this area. This is the state park where the state has fixed this courthouse up, and it's just something to see. If you get some time and you're out and about, it's just right off of, right out of Black Rock here, just a few miles, in Powhatan, Arkansas, and they made a state park out of the courthouse. We got some great trees, some great sights to see, and quite a bit of history. Check it out. You'll be glad you did. We're here in West Memphis, and here with me is James Morris. And Mr. Morris, why don't you tell me a little bit about what's going on with this tree beside us?
Well, I thought it was in pretty good shape until you pointed out the scales on it, and after treating one in the front, I decided to treat the one in the back here. Because I love my trees, I want to keep them, and I want to make sure they're healthy.
Yes, sir. We'll be moving around the front here shortly to show that oak in the front. But what James had done, he had called us in, and the tree, you have lost a tree here in years past, hadn't you, in the back?
Yes, about 3 years ago, I had one cut down like the one in the front yard. It was in bad shape. It was dropping almost all its limbs, and I just had to take it out.
Yes, sir. And how did you know to call us this time?
Well, your television show. I happened to catch it one morning and thought, well, I got to do something, and you're the man I called.
Yes, sir. And what I'm tickled to death that he called me, because I come to treat this tree, and I examined this one in the back, and he has got an enormous oak tree here that I'm sure it shades his house, and he just, needless to say, he just loves it. And the boys have just started to work on this one here in the back. And how many years have you lived here, James?
10 years.
And I kind of quizzed him before, and he's never fed the trees or anything, and you can see a massive tree like this is going to consume a little bit of fertilizer if you let it. And but you have no idea what the age of this tree might be, do you?
Not a chance. This house was built in the mid to late 50s is when it was built, and I'd assume that this tree was probably planted around then.
It was well taken care of. You said the guy that had this kind of had a garden green thumb or so, didn't you?
Yeah, he did. You had to, because it was really nice when we moved in here.
Yes, sir. And we got a couple other trees here on the property. We'll move around there and we'll talk about them.
All right.
I'm in the backyard here in West Memphis, and here with me is James Morris. And James, we're here treating your trees, and this is a pecan tree. And how long has this been going on with all these knots on the leaves?
About 3 to 4 years now. It's really getting bad now. I was getting real worried. I don't have any good pecans anymore. They're kind of scrawny.
Yes, sir. They have black spots too. I assume. I was explaining to Mr. Morris that he's got some neighbors here that's got neighboring trees. But by us treating this tree for him and him doing a little bit of follow-up due diligence, what we give him paperwork for, his tree can be producing and doing good with the neighbors still going downhill. And what this has caused for him is a lot of these little knots is little gall wasps that stings it, and they lay They inject a growth inhibitor and they lay their eggs there, and the eggs hatch and they drill out. This tree is also getting scale like that oak in the front, so it's you can just see. I hope the camera shows these leaves pretty good, and you have a premature leaf falling too, don't you, James?
Yeah, I do. My tree clears out a lot earlier than my neighbors do.
Yes, sir. And I can tell by looking at the ground, he didn't have near the tassels either on here that shows he have a crop. So he hadn't got a crop set this year at all, hardly. But by next fall, we'll have that remedied, and hopefully we'll visit back with James and we'll see what kind of crop he's got going on. But this doesn't go away in one season. It generally takes a couple of seasons to get all of it, because you got to remember they don't eat the tree, they just sting it. And you got to keep them from stinging it, and our whole procedure takes care of that. And you understand that too, don't you, James?
Yes, sir, I do.
But like I told James, it didn't get that way overnight either. It took how many years?
Well, it's 3 that I know of. Could be even longer, maybe 4 or 5, when I first started noticing just a couple of little knots on the leaves like that.
At one time, though, you used to probably get a good crop of pecans off here, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. The first couple of seasons I did. Nice pecans.
Yes, sir. Well, we're going to get it back where you get nice pecans again. And we'll move on around here and talk about some other trees.
All right.
Did this kind of put you, signal part of the reason you call us, James, is sucker growth on the trunk?
No, really, it's the limbs dropping out of it. I mean, these limbs dying and dropping. That's what really got me to worried about it. And one I cut down behind us here, that's what really got me worried. It died. It just died out pretty much. And
Was it big as this one here?
yeah, it was.
Right, and so you've been picking up limbs all the time with this one?
All the time. All the time.
Well, what happens is when the insects pull the tree down, the tree has to give up a limb, then gives up another limb, and a lot of people tell you this is the last gasp for breath of a tree, for lack of a better word, putting on that sucker branch, but that's not necessarily so. I've seen sucker branches on very healthy trees, but in your case here, it was kind of telling you something.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I didn't know that, but I'm glad you told me.
Right. Well, a lot of times on a new planted tree, you'll see that, and a lot of people will say, well, it's not getting enough of anything because it's sprouting too close to the stem. And that's true on a new planted tree, but an old tree like this, it can signal other things too. But James's main problem, he's got an extremely bad scale problem as well as a borer problem. But we've handled that for him. And you don't know how old this tree is either, do you, James?
No, I haven't. Not an idea. I've only been here 10 years, and I know this tree's older than that.
Right. James made a neat statement. He wanted to know what to do in the future on these trees, and that's what we do after we treat a tree. We arm you with the paperwork that's written down that tells you can look at later, and so you'll know how to handle. And that'll make you feel a little better too, won't it?
Oh, yes, a lot better. 'Cause I love my trees, and I hate losing them.
Right. You got a beautiful house, and you got some old azaleas there that you don't see them that big much anymore, and you take care of those good too, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I try to keep them. Oh, yeah. I love the blooms on them in the springtime. They're really nice.
Yep. They caught my eye when I first pulled in your driveway. They've been there for, well, it was here when you got the house, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was everything here was here when I bought the house.
Well, we're going to help you keep this one so you don't lose that one like you did in that one in the backyard. And we'll be stopping back later, and we'll just see how you like what we did.
I'd like that.
Well, thank you, James.
Oh, thank you.
Just a few days ago, this was a green, healthy limb. You can see what made it fall. It's got borer damage here where the borers have left their galleries, weakened the limb, then a little wind come along and broke it. Borers can do a lot of damage. They go in and restrict the sap flow, and they go up into the limb part, and they weaken them. You can see the sawdust here from them. But that's a good sized limb. Had a lot of leaves on it too. But they'll just whittle away at a tree day and night, year round. So don't let the borers get a foothold in your tree. They can really do some damage. I'm here in Walnut Ridge with Ronnie and Kathy Simpson. And Miss Simpson, when I treated this tree, it's been a little over a year ago, what was your tree doing?
Shedding bark. Had bare spots on it.
Yes, ma'am. And Ronnie, you'd noticed a problem with the tree too, hadn't you?
Yeah, I was worried about it dying. You know, it's a big tree, and I just worried about it was dying. But you come checked it and said it's all right. I mean, you sprayed it and everything.
Right. I soil injected it, and how many pound pecans you get last year, Kathy?
275.
And you tell me you cracked every one of them, didn't you?
No, I had them cracked, but I picked them out.
Well, that's what I mean. You got the use of every one of them.
Exactly. Good Christmas presents.
Oh, I bet. And how many years you lived here?
Almost 3.
So you just tell me off camera how many pound you got the first year,
30.
and how many the second year,
None.
and after I treated it.
275.
Sounds like it worked anyway, didn't it? Yeah, and what did you retire here from, Ronnie?
Is that from DuPont in Memphis?
Right, you was telling me you was a fire prevention thing too, wasn't you?
Well, I was hazmat. Was a hazmat instructor and a hazmat technician.
That's right. I remember us talking about that over a year ago about that. And you enjoy your retirement?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love it over here.
Yes, sir. And how's your other trees doing?
They're doing just fine, except that maple keeps losing its limbs, but ain't nothing we can do about that, I don't guess.
Yes, sir. But I'm just tickled we got this pecan tree doing good, and it's the main part of the yard because it hangs over your house, doesn't it?
Correct.
Well, I want to thank both of y'all for taking a minute and talking about your tree and how many pounds of pecans you got.
Thank you. And I hope this coming year I get more.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tell our viewers a little bit about what you do here since you retired, Ronnie.
Well, I've always kind of worked with wood as far as, making pictures. I do intarsia. This is called intarsia. And it's the art of making pictures out of wood without using any paints or stains. But I do paint some pictures and do some carving, very little carving. But I mostly just make the intarsia. And this is one of my pieces here. I won first place with it at the Lawrence County Fair last year.
I'll be doggone. That is really detailed. The serpents going up the vines and all of that. And what did you name this piece?
It's just snakes in a tree, I guess.
That's good enough to describe it. Well, you've got a lot of different stuff you've hanging all in here. You sell this too, don't you, at craft fairs and stuff?
Yes, sir. I go to a lot of the arts and craft shows around the country, the Hardy and up in Missouri and different places.
Yes, sir. Well, maybe some of our viewers might want to get a hold of you. It's just Ronnie Simpson here in Walnut Ridge, and he's got some really nice things here he's made from wood, and we could spend an hour in here talking about it. But how many pieces you reckon you turn out a year, Ronnie?
I'll be several hundred because I do a lot of shows, and go up the mountain. I'm going to Mountain Home next month for arts and crafts show.
Yes, sir. Well, we wish you the best of luck in it, and I know you're going to have it with as good a product as you're turning out, and I appreciate you showing me and the viewers what you do.
Okay, thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about moles. I was up in West Plains, Missouri, and treating some trees, and a man up there named Ron Kelly gave me a tip on how he gets rid of his moles. And he said he takes some lime, just a bag of lime, puts about 2 cups full in the run, covers it back up. When that mole goes through it, it gets that lime on its little fur, and they don't like it. They'll leave your yard. That's his tip, and I'm passing it on from him. But you try it, you might find that works. And that's a lot better than them old harpoons and stuff you have to get, and a lot more sanitary than them poison peanuts that people try. And I believe it'd be a whole lot more effective than juicy fruit chewing gum. So try that lime and see if you can get rid of them moles. I'm out here between Walnut Ridge and O'Kane, and here with me is Perry Manis. And Perry, why don't you tell the viewers what's going on with your pecan trees here that right by your shop when you call me in?
Ed, what we've done, we'd gone in here and done some ditching, and we got a hold of the roots down there, and I think we just about killed our trees. I believe is what we've done. They wouldn't leave. Put the leaves out or pecans, either one.
Right, well, Perry had me treat them, and he had severed some roots, and they're looking a whole lot better now, aren't they, Perry?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're doing very well.
And he also, while I was here, he had me treat all the trees in his yard, and I had him do some work for me. On my tree injector machines and stuff, he's got a wonderful welding shop. What all do you do here, Perry?
We do all kinds of types of welding, fabricating, machine shop work, and do portable work. Aluminum and just any kind of welding.
How many, this is a big shop too, how many square feet you got here?
It's 75 by 120, I believe is what it is.
Okay, it's a big shop, and he's got lathes and everything, don't you?
Yes, sir. We got lathes, mills, presses, turret lathes. We do production and custom.
Right, and I mean, he does Class A work here. He really does. And he had the man that did the welding for me. One of his employees was extremely knowledgeable.
Thank you very much, Ed. I appreciate that.
Well, he did good work, and I appreciate when good work's done. And in another year or two, we'll come back here and check and see how these trees are doing, and I think you'll see they're doing good too.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The lady who lived here called me, and she asked me, was her tree crying because all this sap coming out? And I said, no, ma'am, it's not crying, but it does have a problem with borers, and that's where the sap's coming from, the bore holes. And as the sap came up this year, it had a ready source to come out, and it just leaks on the tree. You'll be able to see that. That's another unfortunate thing that happens with the borers. You have a sap loss. But tree's not crying, it's bleeding. But it's bore damage is what it is. We're here in Pocahontas at the home of James Black, and I want to talk a little bit about his trees. And Mr. Black, what was going on with your trees a few years ago when you called me in?
Well, I had the elm tree here. As you know, most of the elm trees have died in Pocahontas. We used to have a bunch of them, and Ed treated the tree, and it's live and doing well now.
We've been working with them trees for, I guess, 7 or 8 years, haven't we?
Yes, you have. Yes, and it's revived it, and it's saved the elm tree, and I sure am proud of that because it's in a good location.
Oh, it really is. It sets your yard off. And also, this oak tree we're standing by, Mr. Black, did you plant that?
Yes, I put those out 16 years ago, and when the house was built.
Yes, sir. And you've got 3 of them here. All 3 of them put in the same time.
Yes, sir, they were. I put in 2 other trees that were the flowering pear trees, but storms got them and killed them, so I don't have them anymore.
Yes, sir. I was telling John as we drove up about that story of that one back there by your portable carport. That wind got that, didn't it?
Yes, sir, it did, and luckily my truck was turned the right way, and when the limb hit it and caved it in, why, it didn't hurt anything because it's on the bed side when it caved the thing in. So
yeah, that was a big old limb. That's a big old oak, what we're talking about. Well, Mr. Black, if you'll let me, I'd like to move around your yard. I want to talk about that rod we had to put in one of your trees.
Oh, that'll be fine.
I moved around here with Mr. Black, and this is the oak tree. And you remember what I told you when I seen that weak place up in the top, Mr. Black?
Yes, sir. You said if we didn't do something to it, the tree would split.
Yes, sir, and that's exactly what would have happened because we just recently had that tornado through here, didn't we?
Yes, sir, we did. And this tree was younger. It got bent over, and that's the reason I think that it split like it did and growing. It's growing like it is now. Till you put that rod through it, I hope it'll save the tree.
Yes, sir, I know it will, and it's definitely got a crooked top to it, but it turned back to growing towards the sun like they all do. Of course, you're a farmer by trade anyway, you're retired, aren't you?
Well, I'm retired, yes, I'm retired, so.
Reason I said that, you know how a plant grows towards the sun, a tree does the same way.
That's exactly right, and the tree is, you put that rod through it, and I didn't believe you could get one through it, but you did, so.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what size it is. It looked like it's about a 3/4 inch, but maybe that rod. What size is that?
I think it is. I believe it is. It might be 1 inch, but whatever size it calls for, that's what's in there. How long you been retired, Mr. Black?
I retired in 90.
You enjoying your retirement, I guess?
Oh, yes. I built this house up here in 90. I had it built, and so we've enjoyed it, and we've worked in the yard and tried to make things look a little better along Thomasville here.
Yes, sir, and you certainly have. And I was just talking before the camera come on about your pretty hostas you got going on here. And every year, I take care of Mr. Black's yard just about every year, and he's all time improving something. You just recently laid some sod in part of the yard, didn't you?
Yes, sir, and I really need to get a little more, but we kind of ran out of weather to put it out last year, and it's taken off, and of course with all the rain we've had, well, it's helped out.
Yes, sir. Well, it's sure a pretty yard, and I appreciate you taking a minute to talk about your trees with us.
Well, I appreciate the chance to get to be a TV star.
I'm still here with Mr. Black here in Pocahontas, and before we got to leave, we got to talking. He showed me this rock out here by his shop, and won't you tell our viewers a little bit about this rock?
Well, this used to be my great-grandmother's old home place years ago, and my granddad was a pharmacist and his brother was a doctor. They kept their horses and stuff behind us here in these woods that I own, and for them to use the buggies and the horses back when ladies rode horses, and they used this rock to get on their horse and their side saddles when they were riding right here.
Yeah, they just stepped up on there and got up on that horse.
Yeah. I don't know whether they found rock like this or they cut it out or carved it, but anyway, that's what it's used for.
You say it took you a backhoe to get it moved here, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I brought a backhoe in and brought it in from out around 11 Point.
Yes, sir. Well, that's I bet there are not too many of them left for the...
No, you don't see too many of them made like that, Ed.
Well, thanks for showing me this rock.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
If you have a light in your yard or outside street light close to your tree, you're going to notice that one side of the tree, or if the tree is underneath the light, the whole tree, as far as that goes, is going to grow. It'll grow around the clock because of that light. So it'll grow more than a tree out away from the light. So you have to do a little extra pruning, or else it's just going to go right towards your light, like right here. So keep an eye on your trees growing near your lights. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're just getting more light, and they're growing more vigorously. So keep them pruned back, and you can have your tree and your light both. You know, some trees have insect problems. Some just have construction damage. Well, we can handle them both generally at the same time. I'm using a soil injection here, building a mold of chemicals all around the root ball. It gets translocated into the crown of the tree. It has a very long residual. Stays working for a year or better, killing insects as well as growing new feeder roots and increasing the canopy of the tree. 9 different chemicals is going in this at once. So there's so much we can do that we used to couldn't do, and it's in most cases it's cheaper than it used to be. And just name me just any one thing that's come down in price. Well, taking care of your trees have come down in price. Give us a call. You'll be surprised. We're the Tree Doctor, Dickey Tree Service, in your yellow pages under trees.
Well, that's all the time we have for Tree Doctors today. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, it's easy to get in touch with the Dickey Tree Service, and at Dickey, you just go to dickeytree.com and email them there, or you can call the number below. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Tree Doctors.